Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Pond, awards editor of TheWrap. We're happy to have you here for our 2021 awards screening series and today's conversation about Land with Robin Wright and Demian Bashir. We're going to start by showing the trailer to the film, and then I'll bring out Robin and Demian, and we'll also show some clips during the conversation. For the audience, please participate in the live chat during the conversation, and we will be taking audience questions at the end. So before I introduce our guests, here's the trailer to Land.
Edie, how are you feeling right now? What are you feeling?
That it's really difficult to be around people because they just want me to.
It's pretty country, ain't it? Tribal lands. It's not a good idea to be out here without a vehicle.
I'll be fine.
You said your family was from the city.
How did you find me?
You were Macbeth.
You know, one might wonder how someone like you came to be in this place. I'm not running from anyone. I'm not hiding. I'm here because I choose to be.
If it's all right, I will teach you how to trap. And in the fall, to hunt. And then you won't see me anymore.
Can we agree that you not bring any news of life elsewhere?
What if aliens land here?
Do you have family?
My wife and my daughter were killed in a car accident.
You ever get lonely out here?
I know I'd be more lonely there than here.
My niece drew this from my hermit friend who lives in the mountains.
Want to tell me about your family? Have you thought about what you want your life to be now?
Welcome back. It's my pleasure to introduce director and actor Robin Wright and actor Demian Bashir. Welcome, both of you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having
Thanks
us.
for having us.
And thank you for just, a beautiful film in more ways than one. So Robin, what drew you to this particular story?
In a nutshell, it was brought to my attention around the time about 3 years ago when these random shootings were happening, almost bi-weekly. And it just resonated with me when I was waking up every morning thinking about these poor people that have lost their loved ones, and in a flash of a second, their whole life changed. And how do they get through? How do they move on? And then I read this story and I was like, it's not only about loss and grief. It's about the power of human resilience and the kindness of strangers and how we need each other to get through difficult times. And it just was so powerfully, timely.
Yeah. Were you looking for a feature to direct? I mean, I know you directed episodes of House of Cards, but never a feature before.
Yes, I was actively looking for projects for when the show ended. I think I was looking for a comedy, to tell you the truth. And then this happened. And it was just kismet that the film got accepted to Sundance back in November, and then we got to release it now. This movie was supposed to come out last summer. So how about that bait?
Yeah. So You know, a lot of the story is just your character, and then Demian comes in. How'd you end up with him, who seems like absolutely the perfect actor for that role? But why Demian?
Because he's the perfect actor for the role. Now, I saw Demian in A Better Life and was blown away by his performance and just the beautiful soul that was emanating from this man. And I knew it was part of him, but I thought, wow, after seeing Hateful Eight, you know, I was like, there's quite a range going on. I need to see more of him. I want to see more of him on screen. And he walked into my house for our first meeting, and we had the dynamic that we have in the movie. We just had it naturally. It was like I had known him my whole life, and I just said, "You're meant to play this part." And he said, "I have to play this part."
Really, Demian, why did you feel like you had to play this part?
I just found, what actors are always looking for, like a solid script and a fantastic character that can allow you to try, different things that you haven't explored before. All that was in those pages, and but just the fact that it was going to be Robin's first feature, that alone, I wanted to be here. And sometimes we are always in search of great characters, and then some characters find you. And I think that's pretty much the case in this film. I think Miguel found me. I think Robin, as she says, we when we saw each other, when we met each other, it was like we've known for each other forever. And she Miguel is like an angel to Edie, but she was like an angel to me.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, is it tricky to play somebody who does come across on screen sort of like an angel to this woman? I mean, how do you personify goodness, but give a little something else so you're not just Mr. Good?
Yeah, well, that's a real challenge right there. It's the best creation I've ever made. I don't know. I guess we all have that duality. We can be fantastic human beings and then terrible human beings sometimes even the same day. And I think it was all there. When you read the script, that's how this man is, and you can only become this type of person when you have experience some difficult times also in your life, and the same type of loss and the same type of regrets and going through the same process of grieving, and having been there, it's always easier for you to guide somebody else into that process, and it just happens randomly. And I think that's a beautiful thing about this story, that no one is calling each other to be there. She's not waiting for me, I'm not waiting to find her, and that they just cross paths. And when that happens, it's up to you if you stay or just walk away.
Yeah. Well, I think this is probably a good place to show the first clip, which takes place after, well, Robin, your character, Edie, goes up, is obviously fleeing some enormous loss in her family, and she goes up to this very remote cabin and basically, isolates herself there, runs into real trouble, and Demian comes along. So why don't let's show that first clip.
Hi.
Hey.
What's that?
Broth.
Oh, I smell bacon.
That's for me. I'm not supposed to give you any of that. I'll make you some as soon as the law says you can have it.
How did you find me?
I was on a hunt, and I noticed on my way by here there was chimney smoke, like any cabin will have this time of year. And then on my way back,
was no smoke.
Why are you helping me?
You were in my path.
That's quite a line. You were in my path. Um, yeah. So, Robin, let's talk about what brought Edie to this place. I mean, you mentioned shootings and all of that. None of that is spelled out in the script. All we know is that there was something awful in her life, and she's trying to get away. But I feel like she's not necessarily going up there choosing to heal herself. I mean, this could be the end of the line for her. I mean, she feels like, I think she can survive, but I also feel like, if she doesn't, she might even be okay with that at this point in her life.
Exactly. I mean, I don't think it's a deliberate choice of suicide. It's the need to erase the self that will never be existent like it was before. And I think, a lot of us do that, right? We try to escape and hopefully find a new path or some new window of belief. And when you watch the movie, you do realize that why that place? Why the mountains? Why not the ocean? Why not the desert? And it's almost like an homage to her family, where they all wanted to live together.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, Demian, that line about you were on my path. I mean, it does feel like this is a man who, it's probably a long journey for him to get to the point where, if you're on his path, he's going to help you.
Yeah, that's one of the things that caught my attention when I read the script. That precise moment. It's just so timely, because we care very little for others, and we have seen that in a very sad way, especially over the last 4 years. And just the fact that we are able to show the best of us, the best of humanity, because this is how we are, essentially we care. They sometimes they ask you not to care, but I think it's beautiful the way this character is put right there in that mountain, because that's the basics of everything. Is we go back like thousands of years to the basic of us, in the wild, and being there like alone in the middle of nowhere, just with nature. Nature, teaches you many things and teaches you to respect others and every living creature around you, let alone humans, right? And nature heals. It has healing properties.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, as that conversation we saw shows, this is a very restrained movie in a lot of ways. I mean, it's dealing with huge dramatic things in life, but it's also doing it, for the most part, very quietly. I mean, it's quiet conversation, or it's silence. I mean, much of the movie takes place in silence. Robin, as a director, are there particular challenges to basically underplaying all that drama?
It's actually the antithesis for me anyway. I've always preferred not only performing that way, but watching actors and what they can do without words. This was actually in the script, meaning how spare Miguel is with his words. He only speaks when it's important. And she clearly doesn't want to be verbose about anything, So they're kind of a perfect match. And that was in the original draft. That's what I loved about it. It was so simple and basic, where you look at these two completely different cultures of Miguel and Edie. They have no idea each other's past. They don't need to know. They don't need to have the big, long exposition monologues in the movie. And they can still be connected so beautifully, bonded.
Mm-hmm. Right. Um, we have one more clip to show, but before we show it, I need to ask, Demian, did you go into this movie as a big Tears for Fears fan?
I love that song, but I never really went into, the lyrics in a deep way, and up until now. And it's just fascinating, not only how beautiful the words are, but how perfectly matches, our story.
Right. Well, let's see the clip where Demian gives us a little bit of Tears for Fears.
Well, I don't think I said one word to myself last week. And then that old 80s song popped into my head and you were singing it. And it was painful, I have to say.
There's a lot more where that came from.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to your life. There's no turning back.
Yes. So I also, that line, there's lots more where that came from. Hints at depths in this guy that we haven't seen, and some of which we may know about later. But I mean, did you create for yourself a big backstory? And do you when you say there's lots more where that came from, do you know what all the depths?
Well, I played over the last two films that I made. I have played two fantastic different types of Mexicans, and it's funny because in the George Clooney movie, The Midnight Sky, he also sings.
Right.
So that's pretty much who we are as a culture. Mexicans, we sing, we party, my friend. I mean, Cinco de Mayo, thank you very much. That's only a part of it, and I guess that's there. When he says there's a lot more, where that is coming from, it's because he knows that that man who used to smile and sing is still there somewhere. And it's going to be through this experience, by helping needy and connecting with this human being, that he will find that redemption that eventually will take him back to his essence.
Right. So what was the shoot like? You were up in Alberta in Canada when you were shooting this?
We had 29 days to shoot the whole movie.
Wow. Yeah. And the movie takes place over a long period of time with lots of different weather. You crossing your fingers that you'll get all the weather you need in 29 days?
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. We crossed our fingers with crazy glue. We were just like, please let us get it. We thought, okay, we're shooting from mid-September to mid-October. We're never going to get winter. We'll have to come back and do additional photography in January, February, something like that. And in the middle of one of the weeks in the beginning of October, we're shooting autumn. We had already done a little bit of summer, a little bit of spring. The next day, there was 4 feet of snow in front of the cabin. So we had to rejig the schedule and say, let's go to year 2. Everybody get in their costumes for year 2, and we're going to shoot all the winter stuff. So everyone was on their toes, to say the least.
Right. I mean, were you close to a town, or were you really out in the wilderness?
We were 8,000 feet up on the top of Moose Mountain. So kind of, it was what, half hour, Demian, to your little coffee shop where you would get your coffee and donut in the morning on the way to set?
Oh, yeah, great coffee and donuts. About half an hour to civilization, yes.
Right. So were you staying in the mountains out of civilization?
I was staying in Calgary. They didn't trust me enough to be up there alone. Because I began talking to bears and squirrels and all that, so they thought I was going to go nuts, and so they kept me civilized. And but it was still, like an hour and a half going up every morning at dark, and it was a beautiful ride for me. It was something that it helped me not only to get into the character, but connecting with that beautiful land.
Right. I mean, Robin, where were you staying, and did the location help you in that way as well?
One of the producers and I, Alan Stewart, decided to stay in our trailers at base camp, which was located just behind the cabin, to really be at one with nature, kind of live the movie we were shooting. And also, like you said, the hour and a half drive on icy roads, I was like, not really into that. And it did help to be embedded in it and to not wake up hearing honking horns and trains and planes, and all you heard was nature and bears, of course. we had some bears.
Yeah. So did you have the sense, excuse me, of being unplugged and being, unconnected with, what was going on back in the real world? Or were you, directing a movie, you got a lot of things you got to think about?
It felt a little unplugged, but all you do is carry that portable Wi-Fi device around and you can go anywhere.
Right. As I said, you have directed on House of Cards before, but were there things about directing a feature for the first time that, that you weren't expecting?
Quite a lot. I'm like, wait, which one on the list? I think most of it was just how to get in front of the camera and get behind the camera with all of the unpredictable weather patterns that we were being delivered. And it was a lot of juggling. I didn't know that it was going to be that much with how the weather was kind of dictating the course of this film. Because you want to adhere to a schedule and you think, okay, we're going to shoot that week and that week. Nothing was on schedule.
Yeah. Well, Demian, you've I think have done back-to-back movies now with directors who were also actors, with George Clooney on Midnight Sky and with this. Does that change the dynamic when you're working with somebody who came up on your side of the camera?
Something happens. Yes, there's something there that I believe that actor directors, they know exactly what actors love and hate, and that's like extra clear. And we all know that we like things simple. We don't have to complicate them unnecessarily, and we hate wasting time. We don't like going for 1,000 takes with no sense whatsoever. You know what I mean? So we're very precise, and we know how crucial time is also, especially when you're shooting 29 days. So you don't have that luxury of let's go for 1,000 takes. And we actor directors, and that's exactly what Robin has in common with Chris Weitz and Tarantino and George Clooney, of course. They know what we need to create, to perform, and not only actors, but everybody around you. So they provide the best tools, whatever toys you need, anything you need for you to perform your best. And they just, watch us, like a proud mother, to their kids playing on the ground, and it's just, it flows very naturally and easily.
Yeah. Robin, do you feel like there are things that you've learned as an actor that really inform the kind of director you are?
Definitely. When you do it for X amount of years, you're observing and cataloging. Okay, if I ever was going to direct, or if I was able to direct that scene, let's just pick a scene in a movie that you're doing with another actor, how would I direct the actor? And in that catalog, along the years, I've kept so many notes of things I never want to do that were done to me, and really cognitively focusing on, okay, I want to be able to give that actor something playable. Give them a playable verb. Don't just say, "Can you walk into the room and have more energy next time?" You know, give story, give some semblance of story around the note, because that's what actors do so beautifully. Is they take that story or they take that note and they create in their imagination, that version of a take, and it's just so beautiful to watch the evolution happen. We laugh all the time, Damien and I, because the one pet peeve that I always had and swore I would never do it as a director is when a director says, "Okay, cut. Don't put your hand on your chin." Well, and all you want to do is put your hand on your chin. You're so self-conscious about so you want to give them a story of how they keep their hands on their lap. Whatever it is, it's, hey, just pretend you're on a date with a girl and you've got clammy hands because you're nervous because you like her so much, and so you just want to sit on your hands because you might touch her and then she's going to know, and then the person never lifts their hands.
Yeah. So, Damien, did you get any kind of "don't put your hand on your chin" notes from Robin during this film?
She kept saying, stop talking to bears and squirrels. You really have to stop that. No, it was very, very easy. We didn't need to talk much. It was like an instant connection, and we very much just by looking into our eyes, into each other's eyes, we know what we wanted to do. And one of the things that I love about this character is that's a very contained character. And it's just a pleasure to explore something like that I haven't tried before. He's not only frugal in words, but also in actions and emotions. And he's keeping all that, and trying to get your attention so you know what happens to the character toward the end of the film. And I remember she came out with this keyword that, defined the entire approach throughout the whole shooting. You're a saint. And Miguel is that. Miguel somehow he almost floats. He almost levitates, and he's there for her, and that's his mission in life. But that's exactly what he thanks her for giving him. The chance to do that, the chance to help her, because through that he's also helped.
Yeah. He's a saint with some darkness and some secrets in there, which I think makes.
Yeah, only when he sings. Yeah.
So now, Robin, you went into this not thinking that you were going to star in it, right? You were just planning on directing it.
That is correct. Yeah. We just we got financed very quickly after not being financed for quite some time, and we had this very slim window in which to have it cast, pack our bags, and get up to Calgary because of weather. And the producers came to me and they said, "I don't know if we can take the risk of what if we don't get it cast in 48 hours and we're ready to go into pre-production." And I was like, "Yeah, we just can't." And they said, "Well, you should do it." And I literally was like, "Well, I'm going to be there anyway. Let's go for it." Easier said than done, but yeah.
Right. I mean, did you find yourself on the set saying, "Damn, why did I say I'm going to be here anyway"?
Oh yeah, of course you have those moments, but once you jump on that bandwagon, all you're doing is trying to complete the film and complete your schedule on time.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, for both of you, what were there particular challenges that were the toughest things to deal with on this film?
I think it was dealing with the cold, right, Damien? It was so cold.
Yeah.
I mean, crazy. And we both don't like the cold. We don't do well in the cold. What was yours, Damien?
That was it. As soon as I read, there's some winter in it. I thought, okay, another challenge for a tropical fish.
That's why you were hoping that the movie was going to be shot in Cancun or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, but again, once you're there, it's like, oh boy, it's so overwhelmingly beautiful. Where we were up there in that mountain, that I was pretty, pretty much okay with it. That was probably the only big challenge, just the weather conditions. But once you're there, you forget about
Mhm. Right. Um, so Robin, for you, it was also the weather part.
I think for everybody, we had such an incredible crew. Um, the Alberta film crew that we had, they're at least they were used to this. This was the norm for them, and they prepared us. Like, you have no idea what you're in for. And we were like, oh yeah, 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 we're fine. Little snow, a little wind. Boy, were they right. And we felt in safe hands being with them because they knew how to navigate. They are almost like the way animals smell when an earthquake's coming. They could smell when the Chinook winds were going to come, 75 miles an hour, where they were just out of nowhere, whip past, this valley and up to where the cabin was sitting. And the tin roof would be going and the lights almost flying off, like Wizard of Oz. It was crazy. It's crazy. So we had a very experienced crew that helped us finish this film, I have to say.
Yeah. So was directing something that you decided you wanted to do early in your career, or at what point did you start thinking about doing this?
Not too long ago. I didn't think I could do it. And then the years go by and you start imagining yourself being in that seat. And again, like I said, you're picking up notes from all the directors that you've worked with. And you just start compiling confidence. And when I was on House of Cards, that was a real gift because I said, I think I'm ready to do it. And the crew and the production encouraged me to do it. And there were so many seasoned veterans that I had as my backbone, our camera department, the lighting guys. And they basically helped teach me. I had mini cinema school while I was on that show. So I was able to learn while I was doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like in this last year, and you said this movie was supposed to come out initially last summer. I mean, so this was all done before the pandemic?
Well, no, we were hoping that we would get into one of the festivals, like a Telluride. So we were in post-production in New York City, basically starting November of last year. We were editing, blah, blah, and then the pandemic hit and we had to shut down. And everybody went home. We didn't know if this pandemic was going to go on for a month, 2. We had no idea at the time. And once we knew we couldn't go back to New York, we had to finish the movie remotely. So normally you'd be in the room with your composers and your sound designer. All of that was like this, over computer, Zoom. And so it took a lot longer. And that's why it pushed the, completion date. And then it was just that beautiful fate that we happened to finish the movie in November as opposed to August, and we submitted to Sundance Film Festival and we got in. It was just such a beautiful gift.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting because I feel like there have been a lot of movies over the past year, and these are movies that were not planned, thinking about things like the pandemic because it wasn't there yet. But there are a lot of movies about isolation, about loss, I mean, a few about the loss of a child, and then, I think the idea of isolation is central to, well, it is to Midnight Sky, which Demian was in, to Nomadland, that kind of thing. I mean, it feels like there's something in the culture right now that sort of fits with these times we're in. Do you see that?
Very much so. I think it's, why these messages in these stories are resonating with people. Because I think we can all relate to the isolation. And many, many, many can relate to the loss. and the grieving process. And what's so beautiful about this story is that it's empowering in the end. It's so uplifting that this beautiful stranger gave her a new lease on life, just with a belief system, just by being who he was. And she gave him something in return, redemption. And what a nice message to have right now when we don't really see the light at the end of the tunnel, and we don't know how long this is going to go on, and people are disconnected from their loved ones. You know, it's crazy what we've been enduring. So nice to come out going, such a beautiful ending to the movie, you know?
Right. Yeah. I mean, Demian, do you feel like this is a movie that speaks up to our time?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have always told these type of stories because maybe because loss is the only sure thing that will happen in our lives at some point. We will lose a loved one. I think the most crucial part of these times that we live in right now is that people are dying alone. That's the most awful part of this pandemic. And that's why I find this film so hopeful and beautiful, because this is about that, empathy, and how we care for each other, and how even if you're stranger, you're not going to be left alone. And my heart goes out to everybody who's putting their lives on the line in order to save so many lives, because they're risking their own, and of course, all the families who have lost their a loved one to this crisis. But it's at the end, it's us who will save this boat, called humanity. And I think this film speaks very, very clearly about that, as well as, the midnight sky.
Yeah, right. Well, before we open this up to audience questions, let me ask the two of you one more. I mean, we talked about the particular challenges of this film. What was the most fun you had on this film?
We had so much fun, I have to say. We had such a great team of people that we worked with. And Demi and I are just giggle fest, king and queen. We just love to giggle. And we've decided maybe, if we don't get any more acting jobs or directing jobs, that we're going to take our karaoke show on the road. Maybe that's going to be our new career.
Yeah, we were planning a karaoke tour, around the world, just doing that. Oh boy, yeah. I just, because I've always seen, Robin carrying herself with such royalty and such, and she's so savvy and smart and all that. And I thought, wow, it's going to be hard to make her laugh. Yeah, right. People don't know how funny she is, and it's so easygoing. And that's probably one of the most beautiful things to witness. That I had the chance to witness, how this new fish in the tank, was just swimming like she's done it all her life, and to command such a large group of different human beings. As a director, you need to be, generous, and you need to be smart and kind. And it was really, really great how, everybody respected that. And by respecting that leadership, they trust her 100%. We all did. And she carried this ship, to a happy, beautiful destination.
Right. So, what are your go-to karaoke songs?
Well, actually, right now I'm still working on Everybody Wants to Rule the World and Sweet Caroline, which are two of my most recent successes. Oh, you want me to sing? No.
You're only going to get cast now if there's
I'm only doing music.
Yeah,
The sequel band will be that.
You have to exactly land the music.
The land is the musical.
Oh no.
Right. Robin, want to share your go-to karaoke songs?
Oh, always. I've Got You, Babe, Sonny and Cher. Totally. Because I like to do the duet thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we have some questions from the audience that they'll put up on the screen. Yes. David Fisher wants to know, was there any improvisation used?
No, there really wasn't.
Nope.
We had to cut our improv out because we would be goofing, Damien and I had to cut that in the editing room.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, Nancy asks, Robin, what was the most surprising thing to you in directing the film other than the weather and nature challenges?
The most surprising was how frustrating it is when you only have 29 days and you've got too many scenes that could physically be shot in a day. I mean, it's just like physically impossible to do it, but you have to do it. So doing the impossible was one of the most surprising things to me. I didn't think things were possible. And you didn't have a choice, and they were.
Mm-hmm. Right. Damien, did you feel rushed at times?
No, I think Robin, one thing's for sure, she's ready to shoot in Mexico, any Mexican film, because that's how we do it, That's how I grew up doing it, only in, 20, 30 days. No, and this lack of time, it made us all be on our toes, and be ready and be very, very sharp. I think it's a great way to shoot,
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, let's see if how much did you rely on your DP or anyone else when directing yourself? Did you work to get someone inside your head to make sure performances matched your intentions, or simply trust yourself?
Good questions. Well, both. Definitely, you have to have the communication up front in pre-production, which we did. We had plenty of months to discuss the vision. How do we want the arc of the film? Who is Edie? Who is Miguel to Edie? All of these in great detail. And making sure we're all on the same page, because like your question poses, how did you trust that you were getting the performance? They knew, I knew, we were reading the same language. And so when I was in front of the camera, there was a lot of times where I wasn't able to run back to the tent, in the snow, run back and watch playback. And I would just lean out the cabin and go, yeah, or did that suck? Should I do it again? And they'd be like, that sucked, do another take. You have to have trust in the people, which I did. And they're all, again, seasoned veterans. They've been doing this many, many years. And they were watching live the performance. And the DP was right there with me. And I would say to Bobby, I'd say, should I, turn more this way, or should I do another take? Should I be more emotional? And he's like, yeah, definitely. Let's get it. We're here. I had multiple co-directors.
Mm-hmm. Right. Are you able to internally judge your own performance as you're doing it?
Oh yeah. And I'm always just, hate what I do. Like, it's just bad. You got to do it again. It's bad. So I guess that's judging. That's called judging yourself.
Yeah. Okay, let's see what else we got. Robin, how did you settle on the location for the film? Were there other possible locations in the running?
It's supposed to take place in the state of Wyoming, and there's certain countries, states where you get a tax rebate, and Alberta, Canada had that for us because we were very small budget. And once we got there, though, I just was like, this is one of the most beautiful spots I think I've ever seen.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. What is next for you as an actor? What role would you be thrilled about? There's a lot of online buzz among fans of Metal Gear Solid adaptation about you as the boss.
That's
for you.
Yeah.
Is that for me?
Well, let's ask both of you. What's for you as an actor? Was there a role you would love to do? And if either one of you is involved in Metal Gear Solid, please let us know.
I'm not familiar with that. I don't know.
I'm not aware of that either. So no.
All right. So Demian, what's next, and what do you want to do?
Um, I'm always just looking for something different, I have a few ideas that we're developing on our own, and some other things that we're reading. But I'm always open. You have to say no many times in order to get what you want.
Mhm. Right. Robin, do you have things lined up?
Next month, I'm going to go shoot direct a couple of episodes of the show Ozark.
Ah, right. Okay. So from Mary Beth, what do you hope your audience comes away with from the film?
I mean, you hope they come away with this sense of hope, and that when faced with adversity, it generally takes somebody else that guides you through and helps you find a renewed sense of faith. And really just the reminder of the beautiful side of humanity, when people are kind and empathetic and helping others. I think we all love feeling that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I fully agree. One of the most difficult things of losing a loved one is that you think life ends right there and everything stops, and life as you know it stops, and you feel like doing exactly what Edie has done. Just go escape till the last corner of the universe and stay there and see what happens. And I think the beautiful part of this film is that it teaches you that it doesn't matter how tough your pain is, how deep your sorrow is, you can come back and get back on your feet again if you're lucky to follow the right steps, and then if you're lucky to accept the help of others, of strangers or love, family and friends and all that. There you will smile again.
Right. Okay, let's see. I think we have some more. How did you decide on the choice of the music soundtrack and the composer?
The producer, Alan Stewart, turned me on to this string trio called Time for Three, about a year before we went into principal photography. And I just was weeping in a good way when I heard their music. They were so raw, and you could just feel how tactile they were. And it didn't feel like a big orchestra. And I loved just the grassroots of what they did with that violin and that bass. They would pluck at it, and not just. And I went and saw them live in the crypt of an old church in Harlem, New York. So they were unplugged, no speakers, nothing. And it was one of the most beautiful concerts I ever seen. Just was so moving. So I used their music in the temp score. And you live with that temp score for almost a year while you're editing. And I couldn't let it go because they're like, okay, now it's time. You got to take your thumb out of your mouth. That's what it feels like. And I said, I can't. I love their stuff so much. And then Ben Soleil, who had scored movies before because the trio had not, they had actually worked together in the past. And I wanted Ben to basically be the mastermind around adding sounds to their trio, because he's an amazing sound maker and musician, where he brought the element that I needed. I said, I don't want it to just feel like instruments. I want you to question, is that sound in the music something from nature? So he brought that component with these three guys, and I thought they did a beautiful job creating to picture. They were writing to picture.
Really? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have to tell you, your movie sent me to the Staves, who I was not familiar with, who have a song at the beginning and I think one at the end, and I have since
Mm.
bought all their music.
Oh, good. They're so great, those
Yeah,
girls. Wow. Angelic voices. Yep.
yeah. So let's see what else do we have any more? Yes. Was there a moment in childhood that sparked and instilled a love of nature that inspired aspects of this project, or did nature compel you more as an adult?
I mean, for me, I think for you too, right, Jamie? I've been camping since as long as I can remember. Um, we were always popping tents and, you know, in a camper van or something. So it's been my whole life. I've always been a nature lover. And I just for this story, it's so true. It's healing. It's medicine.
Well, yeah, the only time that I spent 3 nights away from my bedroom was when we went into a boot camp for the Chef films with Steven Soderbergh and Benicio del Toro. And I was playing Fidel Castro, so I couldn't chicken out, right? And it was a full group of small little army, and we went up there in Monterey, California, and stayed in the middle of the forest for 3 nights and 3 days. And they gave us like, it fit in the palms of your hands. And you had your tent, your uniform, your boots, your lantern, everything here. So we had to build it ourselves. And I went like, damn it, I should have gone to the Boy Scouts, right? So I never did that when I was a kid because I'm a city man and I'm not an outdoors person. So it was a full, different experience for me because we were trained by a real mountain guy inland to do what we do here. And it was a beautiful experience, to learn how to do all that. I think I could do it now.
Right. As long as you had your coffee and donuts in the morning.
Yes, sir. Only half away.
Okay. Well, I think that was the last question. So, thank you both for being part of this. For our audience who's watching, thank you for joining us. It was great to have you all. If you want to be the first to know about upcoming screenings and events, take advantage of our free trial TheWrap Pro. You can also register for screenings on the website or catch past screenings you've missed. Just go to thewrap.com and the screenings tab. And Robin, Demian, thank you very much for a beautiful film and
Thank you.
joining us.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
so much.
Thanks.